Hello, everyone. My name's Mark Floerke, and I'm a Bakerpedia influencer. And on today's Thursday Thought, I have a very special episode for you. I'm going to give you a little taste of Marda's gift. If you haven't heard of Marda's gift before, go to Kickstarter.com and search for the Marda's Gift Project. That's MARDAS Gift, GIFT, Marda's Gift. This is a documentary film about Marda Stoliar, and I had the great pleasure of interviewing Marda for our Baked in Science podcast. And this Thursday Thought is giving you a little snippet of that interview and to give you a taste and a sense of who this amazing person is who has brought so much to the world of baking. Enjoy. Yeah. Well, very nice to meet you, Marda. So welcome everyone to another Baked in Science podcast. And this is a very special one today. And today we're going to be discussing Marda's Gift. And if you've not heard of Marda's Gift before, this is your opportunity to support something amazing and learn about an amazing person. Marda Stoliar is with me. Marda, please introduce yourself a little bit and we'll get into more of the nitty-gritty.
Well, nitty-gritties, I'm not sure. I am a teacher. I basically teach people how to bake for bakeries and how to open bakeries. And I've opened over 300 bakeries.
Wow.
Well, I'm old, so, I'm...
Well, a gentleman never asks, right?
You're so right. I mean, it's just amazing. I'll walk into a place and there's an 80-quart mixer just as you walk in the door, but it's next to the water. and because it fit there, as the bakery grew, well, they fit it in and it, yeah. And of course, I'm really big at tearing everything apart and putting it together in the right place.
That helps a lot, though. That really does.
Right? Oh, it's huge. Yeah. It's absolutely huge. And people will say to me a year later, do you know that we saved, like $20,000 just in people walking back and forth?
Now, I read that you started your experience and training in France. So you went right to start with the best. And
well, actually, it's sort of weird, but I was a shoe designer.
Oh, wow.
And as a shoe designer in New York, I would go to Europe 4 times a year. And I had a friend who was very well known in Italy in the fashion world. And he went to a friend of his in Venice and said, I have this friend who's a shoe designer, but she really wants to know how to make a maquette or a rosato. Over a 10-year period, I put in almost 2 full years in that bakery. But they just automatically said, okay, now you're going to be a bread baker this time.
Wow.
Sometimes I made eclairs and croissants. I never knew what I was going to be, but boy, I had to learn.
But modern day, what we're calling it is cross training. So you're doing all kinds of cross training. Yeah.
And then in France, there was it still is a restaurant called La Marais. And I said, I really like these little eclairs that are 2 inches long. And that takes a saint, absolutely a saint, to fill those little things. And I said they were just really amazing. And he said, well, do you want to bake? Come bake with us. Come on in at midnight. And so as it turned out, I did about the same thing over a 10-year period of making very, very high-end French pastries. So I was very lucky, very, very lucky.
Well, it sounds like a lot more than just luck. I mean, you were lucky to meet some people who are willing to give you the training, but your passion and your determination, I think that is really, that's sometimes what we don't see enough of anymore today, right?
No, people think that if they go to a culinary school, they're a genius.
Yep,
and they have to be willing to do 200 or 500 or 1,000 of something.
Well, and
don't tell me that you're bored with it. No.
Yeah, and in that respect, your story, it reminds me of where chefs always like to point out is Julia Child. So maybe you were Julia Child's inspiration, I think. That's excellent, right?
And that was at Bob's Red Mill in Oregon.
Oh wow! So that brings me to you went from being a shoe designer and learning in Italy and France, and now you're in Oregon and you're opening a French bakery, and it was called the Breads of France. Yeah. How did that come about?
Well, the Humane Society here in Bend needed money. I said, well, we could have a bake sale, but I don't want to have a bake sale like other people have bake sales. And then I assigned them different products that they would be making for the bake sale. Nobody had ever heard of a bake sale that had made $2,000 in a strip mall. And we did.
Again, you saw possibility rather than seeing the risks. You saw what could be possible. Yeah.
Absolutely. I could see the possibilities. And I knew that there were a lot of people in Bend that had traveled. And good. So I made a specific French bakery. I didn't have any cinnamon rolls. I didn't have any, all these different things that Americans tend to like that are overly sweet. In fact, at the time, my supplier would come to me and say, where are you buying your sugar? And I'd say, from you. Well, they knew how many tons of flour and how much sugar. And I wasn't meeting those. So they were sure I was buying it from somebody else.
So the thing that really amazes me is that I really want to know more about is your trips to Asia. So you started doing work with the
U.S. Department of Agriculture.
And so you've made over 40 trips to Asia.
And I'm alive to tell it.
Wow.
Many times I would teach in some place like Beijing University or some of the other Guangdong, a baking school down in the Guangzhou area. And they would have people from 8 and 10 different areas. And they were all bakers. And they were coming to like Beijing University to learn how to teach. So I would always make whoever it was from Hubei province, I'd make them my assistant. Because making them my assistant and they do it, they learned immediately.
That's cool. That is really cool. Well, that is absolutely fascinating. And so one of the other things wanted to make sure everybody understands is you started out saying that you've been teaching, and so you've been operating the International School of Baking for over 30 years now, right?
1980, either 84 or 86. I never could quite remember.
Yeah, so that's like 38
when the
years.
Chinese, the Chinese said, "Oh, we're going to send some people to your school," and I said, "I don't have a school." "Yes, we're going to send 6 of them to your school," and they did.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So I ended up having to start a school. That's why I'm not quite sure when I did. And then
sort
when
of just happened. Oh, that's interesting. And I've seen some of the pictures on your website, and it looks like you've had a lot of really happy students. And and I've also noticed that what you do is very customized and very focused, right? Do you have any unique or special memories from your time teaching, or funny incidences or something that you could share with us?
Well, I will say that what's pretty funny, and it's sort of universal, is people wanting to open a bakery, but they do not want to make a wedding cake. And they're not even going to learn, because they're not going to make wedding cakes. And I would say to them, well, you can come back and learn wedding cakes, but you're going to be making wedding cakes. No, I will never make a wedding cake. It's too traumatic. I can't do it. 4 years later, I'd say, how's your wedding cake business? And I would explain to them that when you become a bakery to somebody, your bakery is their bakery. They're not going to go to somebody else for a wedding cake.
Yeah, exactly. And, they want to. Well, I hope you enjoyed that Thursday thought for today. And isn't she incredible? I mean, there is so much more. This is just a scraping on the surface, as I'm sure you could tell. And so many amazing, wonderful stories and so much to share. Please do listen to the Baked in Science podcast for the complete interview. And for even more, back the completion of this project and make any kind of donation you can afford at kickstarter.com, Marda's Gift. And it will be appreciated, and I'm sure you will enjoy the film. It's a short film documentary about an amazing accomplishment that Marda has supported that is way beyond even what we cover in the interview. And I'm sure you will be surprised and very touched. So have a great Thursday, everyone. Take care. I'm Mark Floerke for Bakerpedia, a Bakerpedia influencer, and your podcast host for Baked in Science.